League. Subscribe and share.
Rudy Campos Jr. here from Sweep the League. Hey, make sure you go and follow Sherilyn on Instagram. Just search official Sherilyn on Instagram.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sweep the League. This is the post NBA draft show. Rudy Campos Jr. joining you. We did have our full coverage of the NBA draft a little while ago. Myself, Coach Gio, Ben Bornstein of Project Spurs, and Derek Irvin. We were with you for all 30 picks of the first round. We saw Zachary Reese-Arcier go number 1. And at the very end, which I think is a tremendous steal with Baylor Sharman going from Creighton. He's going to be a Boston Celtics drafted at number 30. We're going to get into a couple of picks here. If you guys have any comments that you want to leave in the comments, any questions, if you want to just give a shout out to your teams out there for what they did in the draft, by all means, again, this is a show for the people, by the people. We are brought to you by MCS General Contracting. Again, if you need that porch extended, the patio extended, if you need the driveway fixed or even add a driveway, swimming pool, the most important thing when it comes to concrete work is that foundation. We've been saying a lot of times, the good foundation is key for both family and your home. So why not get the best? That is MC General Contracting, proud sponsors of Sweep the League. And also shout out to La Cocina Taco Truck. Hey, man, they're located in New Braunfels, and I understand San Antonio, New Braunfels is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. But you know what? They have excellent quesadillas. They have the best street tacos. You don't believe me? Fine. Go try it for yourself. Take that drive to get satisfied. That is La Cocina Taco Truck, located in New Braunfels. Though they are official sponsors of Sweep the League, both MCS General Contracting and La Cocina Taco Truck, both sponsors again of Sweep the League. Appreciate everybody that joined us tonight. We had over 315 guys, 215 people in the pre-draft show. We were sitting at about 160, 170 people join us live for the NBA draft show, sitting at a good 30 right now in the post-draft show here. Any questions you guys got, I'll be on here for just a little while to talk to you guys, go over some of the draft picks. Who do I feel maybe had a really good draft? Who do I feel maybe didn't have a really good draft at the when it came to the 2024 draft picks? Why are we stashing 2031 draft picks? What is this about slashing salary? So one thing that we kind of talked about on Sweep the League earlier, and I'm definitely assuming that you're talking about the San Antonio Spurs, who actually drafted Rob Dillingham at number 8. They ended up trading him to Minnesota for a 2030 and a 2031 first-round pick. It kind of makes a little sense. Now, what we see for a lot of people at Spurs Twitter and a lot of fans, they're calling for the veteran help, trying to bring in some veteran helps, maybe even to get another superstar to play alongside Victor Wembanyama. Well, 2 picks in the top 10 of the draft are not cheap. They're pretty decent contracts for rookies. So of the 2 rookies, you want to obviously keep the better one. Stephon Castle makes a lot more sense. Rob Dillingham, I felt, was being kind of dropping in the draft. I actually had him probably in the later part of the lottery, right around, if not the lottery, right around that 15 to 19 range is where I was putting Rob Dillingham when it was all said and done. But Minnesota wanted him, so the Spurs took him at 8. And again, nobody can make sense of, hey, why did they go for 2030, 2031 draft picks? Well, it's because of the cap space, obviously. I mean, the cap space for me was the thing that I pointed to. That's the thing that Ben and Derek and myself and Coach Gio actually pointed to, was the cap space. You want to be able to go in and get a veteran, maybe another superstar, guy that's being thrown around right now, Derek Irvin's been throwing him around right now, is Tobias Harris from Philadelphia. It'll allow the Spurs to be able to offer Tobias Harris money to come to play in San Antonio, which he does have roots in San Antonio. He does practice at the Gervin Academy, or he has practiced at the George Gervin Academy here in San Antonio. So great question, Refried Dreams. It's a cap space move that I'm feeling. You don't have to worry about taking on another draft pick in the next couple of years. I mean, we're all shooting for 2025. So 2025 has a stacked draft class. That means you're talking Cooper Flag, just a bunch of guys in that draft class that's coming out, international guys as well. Not only that, the summer of 2025 is going to have all-star, superstar caliber players. One guy that was mentioned was De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento. He hasn't signed his contract as of right now. He still hasn't signed his extension. So the play for De'Aaron Fox, I mean, just look at the headlines lately. We've seen guys like Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs Post. De'Aaron Fox is inviting San Antonio high schoolers to go to his camp. So he's got a lot of ties. His wife is a San Antonio native, so he's got a lot of ties to San Antonio. That could be another reason why you've got summer 2025 coming up. A lot of free agents coming up in that draft, in the draft class, but also in the free agent class. A lot of big names too. So keeping that money free is very important. So I feel like I said, it's what I said at the beginning of the draft. I said it this morning actually when I tweeted it out. Jerry West, he once said the popular pick isn't always going to be the right one, and the right pick isn't always going to be the popular one. So take that for what it's worth. Appreciate you joining us here, Refried Dreams. Great question there. And Tim, sorry about that. Hey, man, no worries, man. Tell them no, we never apologize for going to church, especially on Wednesday nights. I used to go to Wednesday night church over at Westover Hills. So I definitely know about Wednesday night service. But shout out to Jared McCain. Jared McCain drafted number 16 to the Philadelphia 76ers, kind of where we were thinking that Dalton Connect would go to Philadelphia. That would have been a really good move for them. But in the long run, I think Jared McCain did make a lot of sense there. Connect did go a pick later to the Los Angeles Lakers. Very good move for the Lakers. I was really down on the JJ Redick pick, hiring as coach, but they kind of made up for the Dalton Connect pick there. So I love the pick. Let's get into a couple of the picks here for you guys here. Obviously, Zachary Reese-Arcier goes at number 1. That kind of spells a little bit there. We're hearing rumors about possibly DeJounte Murray being traded away. We know Trae Young really wants to be moved, but when the package is probably better for DeJounte Murray than it is for Trae Young, they're going to go with the player that's going to give them the more bang for the buck. So having Zachary Reese-Arcier probably playing alongside Trae Young right now as we're looking at that probably going to be the move for Atlanta. If I'm looking at that, I mean, I'm really not going to give a lot of teams A's in this draft because it's kind of hard to go with an A grade for the first round. A lot of these kids are going to be project picks. They're project picks. It's going to take a little while for them to actually get into NBA form. There's going to be very few guys that can come into the league and probably make an impact right away. That can be said for the first few picks. Zachary Reese-Arcier is one that I think it's going to take him a little while to adjust. You're going to see spurts. You're going to see, some great development from these kids. It's going to take a little while, though. Alex Sarr, number 2 to Washington. And let's not forget, Washington also had another pick in here. They went with not Dylan Jones. That was actually for the Knicks. So they were with Kayshawn George. So Kayshawn George and Alex Sarr, again, it's all project picks. Alex Sarr does make sense. He was only working out for Washington. So Alex Sarr going number 2 was no surprise there. Really no surprise. Only for me, I had Klingon going number 3 to the Houston Rockets, but the Houston Rockets ended up going with Reed Shepherd. Again, Reed Shepherd is a scorer, provides some depth at the wing position for the Houston Rockets. I think it makes a lot of sense for them there. Kind of give them one of the better grades. I give them right around a B+ right now for the Reed Shepherd draft pick right there at number 3. Then it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, who had the 4th and 8th pick. San Antonio got the guy they've been looking at for a while. Everybody had been talking about him, Stephon Castle at number 4. Number 8 with the Dillingham pick. That was kind of a surprise in a way. kind of had guys still out there that you possibly could have looked at. I know Tejan Saloon was one of the guys that the Spurs had on their radar, and a lot of fans were having on their radar was Tejan Saloon. Not only that, I mean, Dalton Connect was my number two guy on the Spurs big board. We've got Derek Irvin here joining us right now for some post game show. Derek, man, thank you for coming back. I know it's been a long night, man. So we're only going to be here maybe 15 minutes or so, but uh, just going on for a couple of picks here. But definitely the Spurs. People are kind of head scratching on the Spurs move, trying to figure out why they got 2030, 2031. My thing's kind of what we talked about. Keeping that cap space open, not having to pay the second rookie contract. So we're ready for the summer of 2025. And plus not adding draft picks to the next coming years is bonus because you still have that money that's freed up. That's kind of what we're thinking for the San Antonio Spurs.
Well, I thought they made it was confusing because I expected them to take a guard and a wing player. But for them to take Castle first and then Dillingham, I was a little taken aback. I wanted Dillingham myself, but I mean, I guess you can't go wrong with Castle. He's a proven guy that he wanted. He's a champion. But the Spurs, I think there's something behind the scenes that we're not seeing. Something else is going to happen. They have some trades or something that's going to happen. They're going to either get rid of Keldon and there's going to be some more moves. So I think right now we just have to wait and see. But I'm happy with the Castle move, but I'm a little disappointed with losing Rob Dillingham, and it seemed like the fans were on my side as far as that.
Yeah, so reports came in from Jeff Garcia. He called into our show. We brought him onto the show, and he had said that when the Dillingham pick was made, fans were excited for it, only to find out that that pick was for Minnesota. He got traded to Minnesota for a 2030, 2031 draft pick. He said a lot of the fans packed up and left. They were really disappointed to know that Rob Dillingham wasn't going to be a part of the silver and black, man. So I definitely feel for them. I mean, to be honest, I've told you many times I wasn't a really big Dillingham fan coming into the draft. It's kind of shocked me that he went at number 8. But again, Minnesota wanted it so bad that, I mean, I guess they're willing to give up picks from, like we mentioned, when Manu Ginobili's kids were going to be draft eligible probably. So good for the good for the Spurs on that. I would have to say, ideally, man, out of the top 10 picks, the Dillingham was kind of crazy. The Zach Edey, I know, is crazy at 9, but it really wasn't when you look at Memphis needing a big man. We talked about it moving Jaren Jackson over to the 4 position. So it made sense there, but it was that pick at number 5 for Detroit, the Ron Holland pick. There was many more explosive players that you could have gotten way ahead of Ron Holland. Is it still hard to wrap your head around Ron Holland at 5?
To me, I'm not gonna say he's a bad player, but I don't see where he fits in with the Pistons. I really don't, unless they have something in the works that we don't know about. But I just don't think he's a guy that's really NBA ready right now. Yeah. So I was expecting Connect to go to Detroit, and when that didn't happen, I was disappointed. But to bring in Holland, I thought that there were like 10 or 15 guys that could have possibly went in that spot instead of him. So, yeah, I'm still scratching my head on that one.
Yeah, that's a place right there where if you're going to go with kind of not an unknown prodigy, but someone who's going to kind of be a little bit more of a work, that's where you could have, taken Salone right there. I mean, he was just a pick later to Charlotte. You could have, I mean, hell, let's not beat around the bush. You could have taken Rob Dillingham in Detroit. That gives him shooting. I mean, Dillingham as a spot-up shooter in Detroit makes sense. Matas Buzelis makes sense for them there in Detroit. But the Ron Holland reach is what I'm calling it for Detroit. That was the biggest thing in the top 10 where I saw like, wow, I can't believe it. Sergio Lozano, hey, Sergio, how you doing, man? Hey, man, Derek, if you ever need to follow somebody for weather-related stuff, Sergio's the man. So definitely you look him up on Facebook. He says lots of head scratchers today. I would say probably, head scratchers, but like we kept mentioning, this draft is not star-studded draft. So we were going to see surprises galore, man. But if you had to pick one head scratcher outside of Ron Holland, Derek, who might have that have been? I mean, there's a lot of people we can look at here. The head scratchers. I mean, you can possibly look at Dalton Connect
What's the
falling
big
over at
fella,
17.
Rudy?
What's that?
What's the big fella that Portland took? Did I say remind you of Thomas Bryant? It wasn't in the. He's not a lottery pick, but the big guy that Portland took.
Portland ended up taking. Give me a second here because I gotta find it.
Yeah, the one I say remind me of Thomas Bryant.
Are we talking about Miami where they took Khalil Ware?
Was it what's his name again?
Khalil Ware from Indiana.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, that guy there. That was kind of a head scratcher because I think he's a project, and I don't know how high his ceiling is. Those other guys, most of the guys in the first round, I thought have a higher ceiling. So that was kind of a head scratcher to me as well. But maybe they know something we don't know, man.
Yeah, I think probably another head scratcher for you was when Denver traded up to 22 to take Deron Holmes the second. And kind of Ben and I were trying to tell you, it's going to be a good fit for the bench. And, can he give you those Michael Porter, those Eric Gordon type games? I think he can. I think Deron Holmes is a little underrated, coming into this draft. So it's probably a good pick for Denver. But I definitely think that might have been one that you probably thought at first.
But you and Ben were on it though, because remember, I was disappointed, but I watched the highlights and then I listened to you guys, and I said he didn't look like a bad player. I think I jumped the gun a little too soon on that because I was expecting a different type player for Denver. But when I listened to you guys and then I actually watched the highlights, I said, man, that might be a really, really good pick. He looks like a versatile player. So he could play in Michael Porter Jr.'s spot, or he can play in Aaron Gordon's spot and give those guys some minutes to rest on the bench. So it wasn't as bad as move as I thought about originally.
Yeah, and then Surgeons in here, the connect going to Lakers late was definitely, you're talking about an even top guy that was probably talked about within the top 10 going to LA, kind of a head scratcher on that one as well. AJ Johnson at 23 to the Bucks, that made absolutely zero sense. I don't know if maybe Doc Rivers or somebody turned in the wrong card. I think that was supposed to be day 2 type of card, but the AJ Johnson selection at 23, out of every pick that was made zero sense. And we're talking about the Knicks, who took Pakami Diadier out of France, who we both said is going to be a stash and draft and stash guy overseas. AJ Johnson, I mean, I almost got to figure it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a draft and stash type thing because the kid's not ready at all, man.
He's not ready for it. He's not ready. What is he, 167?
Yeah, that's the kid was 167 pounds.
106, 167 pounds. No, he's not physically ready for sure. I could see him going to the G League not only for a year, maybe 2 years, and then his future will be decided then. But I don't think he's a guaranteed NBA prospect, a guy that's going to actually suit up in the NBA. I hope he does, but I don't know. That's questionable for me.
Yeah, Tim Gonzalez, Derek says if Castle would ask Derek Irvin about City, what would you say to him? Basically, if Stephon Castle asked Derek Irvin, what is San Antonio like? What is the good thing about San Antonio? What's the few words you would tell to Stephon Castle?
Yeah, you never have to pay for food again, young man. But on the serious note, Tim, he's coming to what team? What kind of team? How many teams can you name that are really better than coming to San Antonio, where you become a star and the city adopts you like you're one of their own? And that's what I would tell him. Just come in and ride the wave, man. You're gonna love the city, and you're gonna love the way the people treat you, and you're coming to a first-class organization.
100%, man. They're obviously gonna welcome Stephon Castle like they do everybody. And what's weird, it's not weird, but you even have guys that get traded away, a la George Hill, who still comes to San Antonio. I mean, he loves the city so much. Guys like even Lonnie Walker will come back to San Antonio. I mean, that's the reason why a lot of players like coming to San Antonio, especially young guys being drafted to San Antonio, because it's a tight knit community, it's family environment. I mean, we welcome everybody as if they're family with us the entire time. So, moving on, man. Let's get to some of the best sleeper picks, probably the ones that just were jaw dropping. The two for me that I was just fathoming, I was just really flabbergasted because it was just amazing picks for these teams. The connect one to the Lakers is the obvious one, but the two for me was at number 18 when the Orlando Magic drafted Tristan Del Silva. They needed shooting bad. They got one of the better shooters in this draft in Tristan Del Silva. I think he's a day one contributor for Orlando. They wanted talking about going to get Klay Thompson. Now they really don't need to with Tristan Del Silva. He fell to their laps there. The other guy that I think is the last pick, I guess you can call him Mr. Irrelevant of the first round, is going to be very relevant. We talked about him a lot, and we were kind of gushing over him. And Baylor Shireman, Creighton guard, he's a shooter. He's a spot-up shooter. He is exactly the type of player you don't want Boston coming off of a championship season to draft. He's going to make so much more sense for guys like Derek White and Drew Holiday, Tatum and Brown. He's going to play so great with Kristaps Porzingis. Those two teams, Orlando and Boston, they probably get my highest grades tonight in the first round.
Well, Connect definitely gets my for me. That was the I'm not a Laker fan, so I was sad to see the Lakers get that kid. I think that kid is a star in the making. And then I'm Klingon. Klingon will be my second guy because I'm surprised that he didn't go actually in the first 4 picks. To be honest about it, I thought at the last minute some team would get nervous and they would say that this is a guy we just can't pass up. So he would be Klingon would be one guy, but Connect, man, I just think the Lakers got. I didn't want to see LeBron James get that kind of player, man. I'm just being honest. I'm not a big LeBron fan, but I think Dalton Connect for me has the potential to be better than any player in this draft.
He can very well be any player. We're talking about SEC Player of the Year, guy that can get to the bucket, can shoot the lights out at the gym. Yeah, you know what? He's a defensive liability, but pretty much everybody in this draft was a defensive liability, especially the shooters. So, I mean, if you're talking about any guy in this draft who can shoot the lights out, you're talking about guys like Reed Shepherd, Dalton Connect. I mean, Rob Dillingham. There's a lot of good shooters in this draft, but defense isn't their specialty, man.
Is Steph Curry first team all defense or second team all defense?
Not even close.
No. So today, if you can fill it up, that makes up for your defense. If you can give a guy 30, you know how this game goes. If you could put it in the hole today, you're invaluable. And so these guys, the guy you just talked about, can absolutely fill it up. And if you want to talk about just scoring, Connect and the young man that Boston drafted, oh boy,
it's going to be
Lakers. Look at the irony: the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yeah,
the two teams with the 18 championships and 17 get two of the players that I think have two of the highest ceilings in the entire draft.
Oh, yeah. I know it's going to be crazy. We saw a lot of mind-boggling picks as well as mentioned, but those are the 4 picks that we felt are probably our winners for the first round. Derek's definitely got Klingon when he went to Portland. That makes a ton of sense for Portland, man. Portland, obviously Chauncey Billups is not happy with DeAndre Ayton. He doesn't have to be anymore. Klingon is that guy. He's going to be their starting center there. Makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, Jeremy Grant is still there. We mentioned we got Anthony Simmons. You got Scoot Henderson's going to probably end up taking another step in his second year. Shaedon Sharpe is there. Portland's putting together a nice little team, and they got a great coach to go with it in Chauncey Billups.
Hey, Rudy, I want you to think about something with Portland. You could also insert Klingon at the center, and you could put DeAndre at the power forward if you want to have the two of them on the floor at the same time.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely make
different game today. Yeah, I'm just saying, because sometimes you might need those two guys so you can match up with teams like as currently constructed, a Carl Anthony Towns, a Nas Reed, and a Rudy Gobert. So they might come in handy to have those two guys at some points during the season.
Yeah, I think it could be a really good move for Portland. And you're right. I never even snapped to that. I mean, an Aiton and Klingon type of front court, that would be awesome. I think for them, that's going to definitely paint a really good picture for Portland. Like we said, Chauncey Billups is getting a hell of a player right there. And you also mentioned Connect as your other big winner for the Lakers. I've got Boston with Baylor Shireman and Tristan Del Silva for Orlando as my two big winners. But when we go back to San Antonio, we're going to make this the last topic for the evening, and then we're off here. We're done for the night. But when you go back to the Spurs and they only are taking Stephon Castle, which is the point guard, we obviously saw that they're moving on from Rob Dillingham. But if they make no more moves in this offseason and they ride with what they have, it's pretty safe to say that we're still picking them at the 27, 28, 29 wins.
27, 30. Yeah, no, maximum 30. Yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, when you talking about a draft class, Derek, can Spurs fans understand that the process is almost here with 2025 when you can, if you're a lottery team and the Hawks are a lottery team, can you imagine the potential of having 2 top 4 picks, 2 top 5 picks in next year's draft when you've got obviously Cooper Flag, you've got another point guard from France and Nola Traore, you've got Dylan Harper out of Rutgers, also out of Rutgers, as well as Ace Bailey. One guy that I've mentioned to you who I'm huge on at shooting guard is Hugo Gonzalez out of Spain. Next year's draft class is undoubtedly one of the best draft classes we've seen.
What about probably one of the Boozer brothers?
Yeah, so I think the Boozer brothers are not going to be available till 2026. So
neither one of them?
I think they're both coming out in 2026. And the reason why is because if they would have, so Cooper Flag, what do you call it? Where you basically buy a year or you're a year ahead.
Oh, okay.
If Boozers would have done that, then they would have been able to be eligible for 2025. Reclassified. I'm sorry. So
similar reclass, reclass, yeah.
So Cooper Flag reclassified to where he could be drafted in 2025, but the Boozers are 2026. But I mean, if you're looking at top 10 picks, I mean, you got BYU has a point guard from Russia, Igor Demin. He's going to be available hopefully next year. Dink Pate, he was playing for Ignite. There's so many guys that are coming out, and the positions are all over the place. I mean, UConn has Leah McNeely that's going to be there. I mean, the draft class is stacked, Derek, right now.
Are you telling our Americans they better get with the program, man?
I feel so, because as of right now, I mean, you're looking at 3, maybe 4 guys in the top 10 that could definitely be, I can't say number 1 pick because that's Cooper Flag, but they will go in the top 10. I mean, you got a 7'3" guy out of Australia, Roko Zakarski, is also going to be available. So let's just say that next year's draft class, Spurs fans, if it's a tough season this season, just fight through it. Wemby's not going anywhere. What do you got, Bob?
Rudy, where did basketball start? What country did basketball start in?
Well, James Naismith is a Canadian, but it obviously started in the United States in Springfield, Massachusetts.
I'm a little disappointed, man. The game started here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you notice the players from overseas come in game ready?
Yeah, I do notice that.
Something we're doing wrong over here with our training and stuff, man. It's either the training is wrong or we're focusing on the wrong stuff. All the through the legs and all. These guys come in game ready.
This is why it's happening, because it's all about, you know what? How can I dunk on somebody so hard to put it on social media and get it on my phone? How can I make this? And can we say and one may have been one of the reasons why the game has kind of gone downhill, because it's all about, hey, I'm going to put this online because why? Because it's cool to make somebody fall. It's cool to dunk on
What
somebody and all that good stuff.
what if I tell you we had a tournament in Corpus Christi this past Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
And so after the games, we had 3 games. After the games, I went to eat with the parents, okay?
Okay.
And my players were all sitting around the long table. And what do you think my conversation was about? You just hit it on the head, sir.
About social
Too
media.
much worrying about, the crossing a guy over and the crowd goes crazy. Even if he misses, he might hit the side of the backboard.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he crossed somebody over, they get excited about that instead of figuring out what that we need to be focusing on is trying to become fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
that's,
amazing you said that. It's amazing.
and I mean, it's the biggest problem right now, not just in basketball, but in sports in general. And you know what? I mean, we'll throw it out there, society in general. It's about what can I do to get paid by recording something and making it, a million likes and a million views, and that's all it's about. And that's why we're seeing the resurgence of, the international player coming and dominating the game. I mean, Derek, the top 4 guys in the league this year, Jokic, SGA, Embiid, and Doncic, they're not American. I mean, they're all foreign players. SGA's from Canada. I mean, they are not for that should tell you something. When your sport is dominated by international players, that's like, that's like saying the United States produces the best soccer players. It don't
And
make
you
sense.
left out one. You left out a player too, by the
Name
name
him.
of Giannis.
Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Giannis.
another one.
So
So top five.
if you look at the first team All NBA, only player that was American was Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Other than that, you got 4 foreigners, and the only reason MB wasn't in there was because of injury.
Hey, you didn't have enough games.
So that might have bumped Tatum out of there, and then we got all 5 were from overseas or from Canada.
And it's just going to continue into next year's draft. I mean, we saw how many picks in the first the first 2 picks were foreigners. Zachary Reese,
Sorry, yeah.
number 6 was Tejan Salon. Then you had a little break until number 11 where we had Matas Bazelas and Nikola Topic went at 12. So already in the top 12 picks, 5 of them are international players, and that just shows you that these guys are well prepared. They're well coached overseas. They don't care about this. They care about what they do on the court, and that's the
I'm a
difference.
math guy too. 5 out of 12, man. That's 41%, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
That's a whole lot, man. That is a whole lot, man.
So we must do better.
We must do better. We need to definitely make basketball, the way it once was, and I think we can get there. I think we could get there. We've got,
Okay, I got a question for you before we get off.
what's up?
Since we're talking about these foreigners, how they've basically taken over.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think our Olympic team is just gonna sweep everybody off the court like the Dream Team used to be doing teams. Do you see that happening? Because I don't.
No. I mean, you've got teams out there that they may not sound stacked, but they are. I mean, just look north of the border. Canada's team.
Well,
I mean, just enough said alone in the backcourt with Jamal Murray and SGA. I mean, just that alone right there is going to be hectic for the current American squad. But I mean, Canada's team. Who else are we talking about? Serbia, Lithuania.
Serbia. You could bring up France. I'm just saying. Just think about it, because we have to make the adjustments, and I don't think some of the fans understand that. When we play that kind of ball, we're really playing FIBA basketball. The Americans are the one that has to make the adjustments. If you remember, Tim Duncan was in foul trouble every game.
Mm-hmm.
He just could not get adjusted to that type of ball. And so that's why I ask you that. for the people that thinking we're going to beat everybody by 60 and 70 points, that's not happening. Those days are gone.
Those days are long gone, long gone. The days of the original Dream Team, that's not going to happen ever again, in my opinion. There's just no way that we would definitely see dominations like that. But you are right, man. We're going to the international prospects are going to continue. We saw 5 out of 12 go in the first round this year. Next year, we're probably going to see at least 4 go in the first 10 picks, if not more, by the time the 2025 draft comes along. But again, for Spurs fans out there, I understand your frustration, but it is a process. And again, I've said it many times on this show. I've said it many times on Jeff Garcia's Locked On Spurs. 2025 is the year when you start to see it all unfold, and it's all going to come around. I mentioned before you got on, Derek, De'Aaron Fox is a free agent. He hasn't signed anything. And you said it out there, and you've said it, spoken into existence. It makes sense. He's got so many
I really
ties.
believe it.
So many
25, 26. I really believe in my heart. I really, really believe that he'll be in San Antonio Spurs 25, 26, 2025, 26. And I really, really believe that.
So it's going to happen. It will definitely happen. We're hoping that it does. But again, 2025 is the year. But the 2024 draft is upon us. It's come and go. Derek and I kind of recapped a little bit of what we thought in here, who our big winners were, who were the biggest head scratchers, who actually just came up and said, you know what, we don't know what we're doing. Shout out to Milwaukee on that one. But the first round of the NBA draft is complete. So for Derek Garvin, Rudy Campos Jr., we'll be back tomorrow for a regular edition of Sweep the League. Again, the NBA draft was brought to you by MCS General Contracting and La Cocina Taco Truck, great sponsors of Sweep the League. So for Derek Garvin, this is Rudy Campos Jr. We'll see you guys again tomorrow and on Friday. It's a Friday edition of Sweep the League. So we'll get to the weekend, Derek. We will get to the weekend. I promise that, brother. We will definitely get there.
I want to just thank everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in. We had a lot of people tuning into both the draft and the pre-draft. We're sitting at 77 people in right now. So, again, appreciate everybody joining us. If you got any questions, drop them on tomorrow's show for myself, Derek, and I believe Coach Yeo will be back. So, thank you for joining us. We will see you guys tomorrow.